I quit my job to learn coding, but not because I was brave. And definitely not because I was ready. I did it because I felt like I was slowly drowning in a life that didn't feel like mine anymore. People said I was crazy. Some of my friends laughed. Others were genuinely worried about me. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I was terrified too. For a long time, I wondered if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. This is the real, unfiltered story about whether it was all worth it. There was a specific moment, a breaking point, that I'll never forget. I was sitting at my desk at work, staring at the clock on my computer screen, literally counting the seconds until I could leave. It was a Tuesday. I remember realizing that my entire week revolved around getting to Friday. My entire life was about living for the weekends, for the holidays, for any little break I could get. And then this thought hit me like a ton of bricks. If this is what my life feels like now, what is it going to feel like in 10 years? Or 20? The thought of that future, of just continuing on that path, terrified me more than the idea of quitting ever could. That was the moment I knew something had to change, and it had to change now. So, I made the decision. When I started telling people I wanted to quit my stable, predictable job to go learn how to code, the reaction was almost universally the same. I heard it over and over. Are you sure you know what you're redoing? Or but you don't have any experience in that, and the honest to God truth. No, I didn't. I had absolutely no background in tech. I didn't have a computer science degree. I had zero guarantees that this would work out. All I had was this tiny, quiet voice inside me that just kept whispering, try, and for the first time in a long time, I chose to listen to that voice instead of all the noise and doubt from the outside world. The first day, after I officially quit my job, was a roller coaster of emotions. I woke up feeling this incredible surge of excitement and freedom. Finally, I was in control. But then, almost immediately, that excitement was replaced by a wave of pure terror. What have I done? And then, just as quickly, I was excited again. This cycle went on for most of the morning, but then, the real gravity of the situation hit me. If this whole thing didn't work out, it was all on me. There was no boss to blame, no company policy to hide behind, it was just me. And a completely blank Google search bar, waiting for me to type how to start coding. Now, you see these glamorous posts online about people learning to code full-time, and it looks amazing. Let me tell you, the reality was one of the single hardest things I have ever done. It was endless hours of watching tutorials, my eyes glazing over. It was writing code that produced dozens and dozens of errors, with messages that looked like a foreign language. There were legitimate moments where I seriously wondered if I had broken my computer, or maybe even my own brain. People have this idea that quitting your job gives you freedom. And it does, in a way, but what it really gives you is pressure. An immense, crushing pressure. Every single day, I had this voice in my head asking, what if you just made the biggest mistake of your entire life? And then there's the part that no one really talks about, the loneliness. All of my friends and family were at their jobs, living their normal lives. But I was at home, alone, day after day. There were no coworkers to chat with by the water cooler, no team meetings, no shared lunch breaks. My entire world shrank down to the four walls of my apartment. It was just silence. And the constant, rhythmic sound of me tapping on my keyboard, just hoping, praying, that something would finally click and actually work. And on the days when it didn't, when nothing worked, I would just sit in that deafening silence feeling like I had completely and utterly ruined my own life. But the next morning, I'd open my laptop and start all over again. Because I had to. I had no other choice. Then, one day, something clicked. It was a small personal project I'd been stuck on for what felt like forever. It had been broken for days. I tried everything, and nothing worked. And then, after changing one tiny line of code, it suddenly worked. The whole thing came to life on my screen, exactly as I had envisioned it. And I remember just sitting there, smiling, a real, genuine smile. It was the first time in months that I felt truly capable, like I could actually do this. That single moment didn't solve all my problems. I was still broke and scared. But it gave me something I desperately needed, a little bit of hope. It was proof that progress was possible. Even after those small breakthroughs, the fear never completely went away. In fact, sometimes it got worse. The reality of my situation hit hard. My savings were dwindling faster than I expected. The doubts in my head got louder and more persistent. And people, with good intentions, of course, kept asking me, "So, has quitting your job actually helped you get anywhere?" And I never knew how to answer that. Because I wasn't successful yet, not by any traditional measure, but I wasn't failing, either. I was stuck somewhere in this strange, uncomfortable middle ground. It's the hardest place to be, because you're too far in to go back, but the finish line is still nowhere in sight. And then came the day it all changed. The job offer, it arrived in an email. I remember my heart pounding as I opened it. I read the email over and over and over again, probably 10 times, just to make sure it was real, that I wasn't hallucinating. And in that moment, I realized that everything I had sacrificed, the security, the comfort, the months of fear and loneliness and crushing uncertainty, it all led to this. It all had a purpose. I didn't just get a job. It felt like I got my life back. More than that, I got proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy for believing in myself. Proof that quitting my job wasn't a terrible mistake, it was the beginning of everything. So, was it worth it? Here's the unfiltered truth. Quitting my job to learn how to code was the single scariest, most difficult decision I have ever made. It cost me time, it cost me comfort and security. It cost me my sanity on more than one occasion. But what it gave me in return is something far more important, a future that I am genuinely excited to wake up to every single morning. So, was it worth it? Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Not because it was easy, but because the process itself changed me. It forced me to grow up. It forced me to learn how to depend on myself. It forced me to believe in my own abilities. And if you're watching this and you're standing on the edge of a big, scary decision like this one, you don't need to wait until you feel brave. You just need to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself one simple question: will I be proud of myself in 5 years if I stay exactly where I am right now? If the answer is no, then I think you already know what you need to do. Thanks for listening to my story. I'll see you in the next one.